Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to the Cool and Smart Book Club podcast.
The Bulls Babuka Puas.
The only Cool and Smart Book Club podcast.
Exactly. Matt, what's the fuck?
I don't really think about book. A book is like a words.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Welcome to the Cool and Smart Book
Book
Club
Club podcast. My name is Barney Pollock.
My name is, of course, Matt Young.
And we are here to give a lecture
On
books. That's right. We are back. It's early in the morning.
It's early in the morning. I mean, it's like 9 now. It's not like early, but it's early for Batman over here.
Yeah, exactly. Bloody Batman. Oh, God. Bruce Wayne needs his beauty sleep.
Barney told me last night that his usual sleeping time is 3 a.m. and it made me physically ill to hear.
Yeah. To me, those hours are the great hours. That 12 to 3 slot, you can be anything.
You know what? That's the witching hour.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're a big witch guy.
I love witches.
You love witches. The witches are in you, as we discussed last week.
The witches are in me.
The
That's
witches are
correct.
in you.
That's correct.
I like to start this podcast off just by saying thank you to everyone who listened to last week's episode.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who watched the episode on YouTube, because this is a visual thing now.
Yeah, I know.
As well as audio. So
Yeah.
if you listen to this on Spotify or Apple, get your act together.
Get your act together and start watching it in 3D.
3D. We do it in 3D. Smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision and rumble-vision. If you're holding a rumble pack controller, it'll vibrate at certain
At the
times
same time as Barney vibrates.
as I vibrate. And at the same time that Matt vibrates.
I'm buzzing right now.
Exactly. So
Hope you guys feel that at home.
yeah, hopefully it's all working well.
So yeah, thanks to all the people who have listened to that, who have watched it. Thanks to our producer Bryce, who's put it all together. He's
Yeah.
doing fantastic work.
Fantastic
Shout out
work.
to him.
And he looks fantastic today in that rain jacket.
He looks great. I think I actually have the same hat as well.
You do?
I do. It's a great hat. Big fan of it.
Yeah, I feel like before we jump into the, I mean, obviously we are not jumping into the book stuff, but I need to acknowledge the fact that we're in a kitchen.
We are in a kitchen.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be said.
I was thinking on the way here, Barn, you and I I think this podcast has been recorded in so many different locations.
Yeah,
We've done it over Zoom from Perth, in every room of your house, in Kew, and not just in here, but in two different. Like we were in that couch last week.
Yep.
And now we're in a kitchen.
Yep.
There's dishes.
Yep.
It's great. We're very mobile.
We're mobile. We are mobile. We should get a van.
We should get a van.
We should get a van.
It's about time we have a van.
That time we get a van.
Winnebago.
Yeah, that's right. A mobile library.
You could drive around and take every single book you could imagine with you.
Exactly.
There'd be no room to sleep.
There'd be no room to sleep. Well, you wouldn't want to sleep because you'd be too busy reading thrillers.
That's right. Like It.
Like It Too.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, exactly. So today on the podcast, last
Yep.
week, obviously, we spoke about many a thing, but most primarily it was you asking me questions written by our friend Poppy. About books.
Yes. I was interrogating you.
You were interrogating me.
I was using FBI tactics.
Yeah, what did you learn?
That you are beauty's only skin deep.
So you learned that what is inside me is ugly.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm an FBI investigator. I just call them like I see them.
Yeah, fair enough. I appreciate your honesty. So I, as you might recall, if you watched or listened to the podcast last week, I didn't really like Poppy's questions. Neither did you.
No, they were shallow.
Shallow.
They were shallow questions.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, we got 50 minutes of content out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
yeah. That's true.
But yeah, you were stumped by a few. Dare I say the first?
Yeah, I was really shaken up.
Yeah, you were rattled.
I was rattled.
That's
completely.
when I knew. That's when you know an interrogation is going to go to plan.
Yeah, right.
Or at the outset,
Yeah.
your interrogee
Yeah.
is already he's already shaking in his boots.
So I'm going to ask questions this week that I've come up with in my brain.
Oh wow, cool. See, I outsourced.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah. That's interesting because it doesn't matter. So it was a really bad joke. I'm not going to even bother.
I'm desperate to hear it.
It was something about e-commerce. I hadn't really worked it out, but it was
cool.
about like Fiverr, using Fiverr and outsourcing the means of production to other people.
Freelancer, Airtasker, etc.
Yeah, etc. It was going to be some, but it
I
was
hate labour.
yeah,
etc.
you hate labor. It was going to be some kind of. It was bad.
Okay, cool. Well, this was great.
Oh, cool. Thanks, man. Oh, that's really nice.
That's okay. Hey, cheers.
Hey, cheers.
Glug 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 glug.
Glug 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 glug. Gluggy glug.
You were going to ask me questions.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. All right, cool. So, question number 1.
Okay.
First of all, these questions might be familiar because I want to put you through the grill.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, cool.
Griddle me.
Okay, who's your favorite character in a book?
Deadpool. It is.
Rick and Morty.
I accept it is really difficult.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Who's my favorite character in a book? Man, I couldn't even tell you my favorite book.
There you go.
There you go.
It's
Exactly
fucking
it.
hard. Yeah.
You know what? It's probably like Lyra or Pan from Northern Lights.
Great.
From his Dark Materials trilogy.
And why?
Why? They're just... I mean, I love those stories so much. I think they're such a fantastic sort of realist representation of how like the soul works and all this sort of stuff. That's sort of the premise of the book, and it's just such a lucid presentation of the way that a child sort of operates, like with a level of curiosity and intelligence and stuff that Philip Pullman, the author, really clearly respects. And it's really writing children from like from a mature perspective, but with kind of not treating them as just like goofy dummies who do dumb shit, but people who have, genuine wants and desires and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's reflected really well. I'm picking that mainly because it's my favorite book ever. So, and she's the main character.
Sweet.
So I think that probably, but she's very cunning. She's got a silver tongue. Ooh. She's great.
Yeah. See, that's one of my, I think when we've spoken before, I've spoken about things that I have like grief over not being able to like access, and Northern Lights is one of those things because everything that you've ever spoken about it, I'm like, sounds so good, but I've tried to read that book so many times, and I don't know what it is.
That's fair.
Yeah. My brain's a virus.
Your
I guess.
brain is a virus.
Okay, number 2. Here we go, number 2. Great job on the first question.
Hey, thank you. What did I score?
I'll let you know at the end. Okay. Number 2 is, what is the first book that you read by yourself?
Oh, wow. I mean, if I'm going way, way back, I think it was a book called Obadiah. Mm-hmm. And it goes like this.
Yep.
Obadiah jumped in the fire. The fire was hot, so he jumped in a pot. The pot was black, so he jumped in the sack. The sack was full, so he jumped in a pool. The pool was wet, so he jumped in the net. The net was fishy, so he jumped in the dishy. The dishy was hard, so he jumped in the yard. The yard was yuck, so he jumped in a truck. The truck drove away, so he jumped in the hay. The hay was just right, so he stayed there all night. And that is the picture book Obadiah. It's the first book I ever read.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Congratulations. I'm seething though, because last week when you asked me that question, my answer was Aussie Bites, Aussie Nibbles. I can't remember. Bum face. Right? And you said this book, and then you've just perfectly recalled it. And after last week's podcast, I said to you there was so many points in it that you asked me questions, and I was like, and it got me worried about my memory.
I'm so sorry.
But now we've got bloody memory specialist Mensa man over here, bloody remembering all that kind of stuff. So
I don't remember the first chapter book I read, or anything like that. I couldn't tell you that. I reckon I read like Narnia, those ones, like The Magician's Nephew and stuff. Before I read Harry Potter, I reckon. I think.
Yeah, I would have too. I think
because I remember reading Harry Potter on the steps of my grade 1 classroom, but I remember prior to that, they were asking us to do weekend news, and instead of writing about something that happened on my weekend, I just wrote the start of Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe.
That is fantastic.
I was at my grandparents' place, and I went into the cupboard, and there were all these fur coats, and then there were pine trees.
What was the reaction of the people?
I think they were like, this isn't true.
Yeah.
It's from a book called Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis.
Yeah. Oh, did you read that on the weekend, Matt? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I've read it. I don't know, once or twice. Here's how it goes.
Yeah. Cool. Well done. Great answer.
Thank you.
Scored well there.
Okay.
Question number 3. Scott Limbrick, who friend of the podcast.
He of the strong arms.
I've noticed a couple of tweets he's made on Twitter recently. Okay. One of which was his favourite genres of books are fiction and non-fiction. Funny. I've just noticed that it was pretty closely related to the time frame to which the tweet came out was very close to when our last podcast came out.
Okay.
And so I just want to ask you if you've got anything to say to Scott Limbrick about that.
Did we make that joke?
we talked about genre last week.
Oh, great. I mean, I'd like to say this down the barrel of the camera to Scott Limbrick. I think that's a fantastic tweet.
Yeah.
I think that's really funny because it simplifies a very, very complex question.
Yeah.
Which is, what's your favourite genre?
Yeah, great.
And you've split it down the middle into the 2 categories of books.
Exactly.
It's like saying, what's your favourite type of person? People under 25 and people over 25.
Yeah.
That's everyone.
That's everyone.
Funny. That's everyone.
That's so inclusive.
It's very inclusive, and that's very of the moment.
And the very of Scott Limbrick.
Yes.
Good on you.
This is the Scott Limbrick podcast.
This is the Scott Limbrick Book Club podcast. Matt, the next question is coming up now.
Oh, no!
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, this one, okay, here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Is there such thing as free will?
Oh.
And link it if you... I mean, this is meant to be a book club podcast.
Yep.
So if you can link it to a book...
The first thing it makes me think of is Sam Harris is a big proponent of the fact that there is no free will.
Yep.
He wrote an essay on the topic, which I can't say I've actually read. But I'm a big fan of his waking up, etc.
Yep.
But he talks about that a lot. But just it just comes down to it's very strict logical determinism, scientific determinism. It's like, well, if all you are is kind of chemicals and all this stuff, it's not necessarily preordained, but things are unfolding in a not a predetermined, but according to the laws of the universe or whatever. So, there's an illusion of free will. Is that general theory? It's like you can feel like you have control over stuff, but really you're kind of just beholden to the chemical processes that are going on under the surface that you can't really access. Like, you can't really know exactly what's popping off in your brain at any given time. So
does that extend? If we extend that to your actions and your behavior, say put it in the example of books that you might choose to read.
Oh my god! Okay.
Yeah. How much of it? Because we can say that there's unconscious processes or there's brain chemicals, but in terms of action or choosing books or whatever, what do you think about the idea that your choices are so predetermined, even when you feel like you've made a discovery by reading a new genre or something that you didn't think that you would like? There's just been something bubbling away of formulating that has meant just at that point that it's become something that you're interested in reading. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, I think it's still, it all conforms to what I was saying. So much stuff is happening that you don't realize. And it might feel like you've made a significant choice or something like that. But it's a depressing thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be because, I mean, you think you have choices and all that sort of stuff. It's very similar to what people would have called fate and stuff just back in the day. This is all that sort of stuff. It's just things just happen organically as determined by, and it's also very reductionist. It's just very logical. It's very Bertrand Russell sort of thing. It's just everything can be boiled down to this consistent scientific logic that is just unfolding, and you're kind of just a freaking slave to it.
You're a slave to it. I spoke about this with someone who I study with at uni, and I said to them, it's crazy because if you boil it down, you're just in this little cart with a wheel and a brake pedal, but neither are connected to anything, and you're just thinking that it's working. But then they said, it's like that, except instead of you and the cart being separate, you are the car.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You're moving around, but there's still nothing's connected to anything.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I'd hate to be a car.
Yeah?
I don't know. I just said that off the cuff, and now I have to think about it.
Yeah. Justify why.
I'd hate to be a car because I don't want to have up to 5 people inside me.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want 5 people all crammed in my body.
Yeah, okay.
And then just driving me around doing dangerous stuff with me. I only get to move when they say I can move.
Yeah, right.
When they turn the key, when they press the accelerator. Otherwise, I'm inert.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, Matt, are you not already that car? Because those people that choose when you move or don't move, that's your past experiences. That's your neurological processes.
Cool. I'm a car.
You're a car. Yep.
I'm a car. You're a car.
Yep.
Bryce is a car.
Bryce is a car.
You watching and listening to this at home, you're a Volvo.
You're a Volvo. I'm a Monaro. Hold a Monaro.
Me? I'm a Merc.
Oh, yeah. He's a Merc. Yep.
Sorry, I'm just going to fill some dead air for a second here while Barney collects his Dr. Eggs order.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, hang on. Oh, no, it's a message. It's actually a text message. This has come in live.
Is the text message relevant?
Yes, it is. It's relevant. It's relevant.
Hang on, send Bryce to go get the Uber Eats.
Is it here? Oh God, this is really.
So here's all the different types of cars. You've got Monaros, you've got Volvos, you've got Mercedes, you've got Aston Martins. There's Alfa Romeos. When I was a kid, I used to think an Alfa Romeo was the best car in the world because it was the big prize on Wheel of Fortune. So I was truly convinced that there was no better car. And I mean, who knows? You're like 7 or 8, what do you know about cars?
So I don't know where our friend has gone. He's roaming around Richmond. He hasn't picked up the food yet.
Okay,
So,
right.
yeah.
All good.
So
No stress. But we have a live tweet.
we have a live text message from my friend Dan Craig.
Hi, Dan.
And he said, "This is the tweet. It's a photo of me looking terrible. It's a screenshot, or it's a video rather.
Oh, yeah?
And then it says, "You defs told me you smoked opium.
I think he commented on that video on Instagram as well.
You and Freight Train Dave love a bit of opium."
Who's Freight Train Dave?
He's a friend from Perth, and he is a freight train of a human being.
As in, like, he's just powerful, speedy?
Yeah, he's speedy, big time
cool.
speedy. Dan, we smoked marijuana and it was laced. It wasn't with opium though. We were at this very dodgy house. There was corn chips all over the floor.
Oh no!
In every room, there was corn chips everywhere.
You're getting corn chips in your marijuana.
Yeah, exactly. It was laced with those corn chips.
No.
So they were, just absolutely everywhere, and yeah, it was a nightmare of a place.
Bummer.
Yeah.
What was it laced with?
It was like, what's it called? It's like one of those. It's not
3 letters.
It's not GHB.
No, not
because that would
DMT.
be no
LSD.
Maybe it was LSD. I can't remember. But it's not. No, it was something that I was like, what is that?
But it's bad. It's not
bad.
It's not what you wanted.
It's not what you wanted.
Yeah.
right?
You just wanted to feel like eating those corn chips. Not thinking they were monsters.
Exactly. Which is
Or
what happened.
bugs.
Yeah, exactly. Or bugs.
Or bugs.
Or bugs.
This is the Cool and
and
Smart
Smart
Book
Book
Club
Club
podcast.
podcast.
And let me tell you, it is a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day. I tell you what, it is a beautiful day. But the thing is, I've realised now. Last week, I've criticised Poppy for her questions.
Yep.
And I'm rattled.
You're
those
rattled?
questions. There's the phone. There's a man accusing me of smoking opium.
Yep.
I'm rattled. It's hard. I
know-
admit it. Poppy.
Poppy.
It's hard.
Hey, shout out to Poppy. Poppy, that's where opium comes from.
Yeah. Whoa. There you go.
Poppies.
That's
There you
true. Isn't there lots of poppies in Tasmania?
There used to be a lot really near my house. And we always used to go running and playing in them. And then I think we had to stop because my family were like, oh, they're opium poppies, basically.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But I don't know if there's that many anymore.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
there's a lot in Afghanistan.
I see. Okay.
Haven't been there.
Haven't been to Afghanistan?
Not yet.
Not yet.
On the bucket list.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Oh, once we're safe to do so.
Once we're safe to do so. Can't wait to get out of the house.
Yeah. Oh, God. So what do you want to do when the pandemic's over? Go to Afghanistan,
Let's go
see
to-
the opium.
See the opium poppies?
Yeah.
I want to go and look at all the poppies.
Yeah.
Do they have poppies in what's the Dutch? Where are Dutch people from?
Holland, Netherlands?
Holland.
Yeah.
There's hella poppies over there.
Yeah, that's
aren't there?
true.
Or tulips.
Tulips. Yeah, I don't...
This is the Cool Smart Flower podcast.
The flower book... Okay. Next question. Coming straight up. Here we go. Matt, is there a true self?
Oh my God, man. These aren't book questions. What do you mean true self?
No, think of them like this. They are questions as one would be given during an examination of a literary nature.
Okay,
and then one
okay.
would be expected.
To reference works.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
The set text.
The set texts. Oh
Yeah.
man. Is there a true self?
Is there a true self?
No.
No.
I don't think so. I think in a lot of Zen and that sort of stuff, if you're looking at those kind of works, I think it's like one of those things where the closer you reflect, the more layers you peel off the onion. Eventually you get the fact that there's nothing really stable there, and which is weird because that sort of general idea contradicts a lot of the free will stuff, because it's like, well, you can determine your own character.
Yep.
You can decide meaning. You can do all that sort of stuff. But is that the case?
Oh, yeah. This is why, Poppy, take note. I've ordered these questions on purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
You ordered these?
Yeah.
From Amazon?
No, I mean, the order of them is on purpose.
Right,
So
okay.
the first, the free will,
Free will.
no, but
Yeah.
then true self, Is there a true self? Also, no. Which is, I think, like two contradictory things.
God, you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there?
Yeah.
So
for those at home, I just nodded at the camera.
So so you're saying that if there's no free will, then there must be a true self, or the?
I think there's a true self,
Okay.
and it's unpopular.
What is it?
So this is why I think that there is. Right. So you know the 5 personality types. The what are they? Conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, and openness to experience.
Okay.
Right. They are very robust empirically, like they endure. So people who have the certain level of those traits at 23 are very, very similar without moving outside any kind of like significant zone when they're 60.
Okay.
There are certain things that are like more societally linked. So like your agreeableness improves with age, which I think is hilarious because if you think of
People are so grumpy.
but also like old people are so like, and then I said, well, we don't want the whole hog, do we? And they like laugh at things that you're like, there's like comedy is about tension and then breaking the tension, and there was no, what the fuck are you doing? That wasn't funny.
But they're just agreeable. They're just having a good time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
that's cute. I like
so I'll
that.
get there.
You're all in good time, brother.
All in good time. So
You'll find the whole hog funny.
yeah, I'll find it funny. So these things endure over time, right? So there are these elements that how much do they impact on what people are actually like? Yeah, they're like latent factors. They're so far in the thing. But in terms of what we were saying before about having true will, is that there are things that occur to you previously, like the past is always influencing your present, and then also because of that, it influences it in ways both biologically, cognitively, and behaviorally.
Yeah.
That those things then endure as well. So therefore, if we say that there is no free will because of like these schemas or blocks of what it means to build identity, then they're like, what are they? If you're saying that there isn't, then like you can say that they're extraneous to the true self. But then like you're just choosing to define the self as something despite evidence to the contrary.
Yeah, well, that's, I think, like, my gripe with that, I guess, is it's like, you can't... So what are you saying the true self is? Is it like... Because it sounds like the traits you're describing and stuff are influenced by genetics and nurture and the experiences and stuff you go through. So are you saying, like, the true self is like a conglomeration of all of those influences? Yeah. So it's changing all the time?
Yeah. So there's shifts within the true self, but... the sense of it being true is validated immediately as soon as you're born because you are that combination of genetic material and whatever kind of other reactions happen in utero. Like,
yeah, I think one of the big arguments for like there not being a self is that it's really it seems like it makes you kind of like a non-entity or whatever. But I think the purpose of it in a lot of the traditions and stuff it comes from is it's very connective. It's like, well, if none of us are at root sort of anything, like we all boil down to the same stuff, like we're all kind of the same, almost like we're all floppy disks and we all have different stuff loaded on, you know?
Yeah.
So is the true self a floppy disk?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or like... Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's very early in the morning.
Yeah. I thought it wasn't early, Matt. I thought it was 9:20 and it was fine.
Oh, I thought we were coming in. You told me we were going to talk about comic books.
Yeah, that's right.
And now I'm trying to remember what I know about the true self.
Exactly. So you remember what you were saying earlier about when you are an FBI agent?
I am an FBI agent.
Yeah. I'm part of the CIA.
Oh, no, you fucking scumbag.
And what I've done is I've set up
oh my God.
something, and then I've come in hard with my, I want to say integration, but it's because I can't remember the word.
Interrogation.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you found? What are you
I'll
finding?
tell you at the end.
Okay, yeah, cool. With my score.
With your score.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. If you get below 70, you legally have to be killed.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't matter. There's no self.
There's no self.
Free will is
So-
relevant. If that's just what was meant to happen, that's what was meant to happen, baby.
Exactly. Okay.
So what's your true? Who's your true self? Who's your true self, Barney?
Who's my? Well, I can't.
What is it?
What do you mean? Like, in
I don't
terms of-
know. Like-
well, it's such a disparate collection of relationships, be they associations or causal relationships.
Yeah.
That.
So that's one of the things I think is like if what you're saying is like yourself is this linkage of all these different things, it's this then the self, like I like Dungeons and Dragons and I like F1 Drive to Survive.
Yep.
But myself isn't Dungeons and Dragons or F1 Drive to Survive. Rather, it's based on the connection between those two things.
Yes.
And the connection between those two things is nothing.
Yeah.
Is like there's nothing that I can't point at anything and say here's the connection between. That's what I think it means by there's sort of that absence of self. It's just there's nothing you can grab onto. It's just if all you are is this constant barrage of experiences, like then that's what you are. You are the sensation of experience. You are just that the constant sense of experience. And knowing that the knowledge that there's these connections between things, you aren't necessarily, none of those can define you, I guess. I mean, I guess they can. I guess those are the things that do define you and paint a picture of you. I just think everyone's a collage.
Everyone's a collage. See, my argument is that those linkages between, say, Dungeons and Dragons, and
You've played it too, and you were really bad at it.
yeah, I was terrible. Anyway, Drive to Survive and Dungeons and Dragons, that link I don't think is nothing. I think that link consists of the predeterminants that allow you to enjoy both those things. There are, if we could like use factor analysis or what's it called, to like boil both of those two things down to like teamwork or community or competitiveness, those are the things that are you, that link those two things together.
I just think you're describing like values and strengths.
But they're not values and strengths.
If the thing that connects those is let's say teamwork for the sake of argument. So does that mean that's part of myself, is like an appreciation of teamwork?
It doesn't necessarily have to be like an appreciation of it, but the way that you, as an agent, the way that you act, you often use methods that are akin to it.
Okay. So it's a pattern of behaviors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yourself is, again, like it's just a combination of your actions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I just think but all that is like memory, and like the past essentially doesn't exist.
But the past does exist because to even get to that point, you've been informed by all these other things that.
But like now there's nothing that you can, like I can't go to the past.
What?
You can't go to the.
Yes, you can.
You can't go to the past, brother.
Yeah, you can.
I'm sorry.
I've been.
Where did you go?
I went to Shakespeare's Globe.
What do you think
of
you?
What did he think of me? He didn't like me.
No.
Didn't
get along with the bard?
It's because I didn't have an earring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's sick.
He had a big one. Yeah.
Like a big hoop?
A big hoop.
The bigger the hoop, the bigger the hoe.
Shakespeare. What a hoe.
Shakespeare was hoeing.
Yeah.
I bet Shakespeare was hoeing.
Shakespeare definitely was hoeing.
Anyway, you can't go to the past. So like there's no concrete thing to grab onto in the past. But what you're saying is that your self is an agglomeration of all the things that have happened in the past. But if the past is ephemeral, then should not the self also be?
But I don't think that the past is ephemeral. Like I think it is concrete in its effects.
Yeah, but exactly. The effects, the present, the now.
Yeah.
Whereas those are bygone. What happened is now essentially non-existent.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, that's been erased.
Yeah.
So what we carry now is all the results, and we're constantly being sort of moved through time, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, so that's all we are at any given time. Is just this, not the past. Where the accumulation of many, I don't know.
Yeah, but like if we take a biological route in looking at the fact that the brain changes and through experience the brain shifts and changes and the messages that are sent between different areas change, then if that is the product of past experience, right? Then that is a very much a physical product that then has a multiple degree of influences. So therefore, the self being the amalgamation of experience, along with genetics and blah blah blah, is that is a solid.
So you think the self is like it's the body, it's embodied?
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
So you can't have a self. Yeah, right. So if someone was just lying still, how's their selfhood look?
Well, that's like such an interest. Like people in comas.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
For that argument, but there's increasingly research that people in comas that appear to have very limited brain activity, that the limited brain activity is just because we're not able to, because our methods of looking at brain activity are so bad still, so fucking bad. We just can't pick them up. And then as it has advanced, we've managed to then find evidence that there is actually things going on.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Big question, Barn.
Yeah.
Huge question. You said to me before the podcast, you were like, I'm going to ask you some questions, and any one of these questions we could talk about for 50 minutes. And you're absolutely right. Yeah. But, yeah, man, squishing my brain.
Yeah, my brain hurts now.
It's squishy.
Yeah,
it doesn't great feel... question, but like, I mean, it makes you really have to contemplate who you are.
Yeah, that's right.
Who you are, what you're doing, what's the point?
What's the point?
The big three Qs.
Yeah, exactly. So the next question, what's the point?
What's the point?
No, it's not. It's not.
Well, as Viktor Frankl would say,
the
point is not to ask someone else what is the meaning of life. Really, it's the world asking you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The world is asking you what's the meaning of life, and but then you get to choose. Do you really choose anything?
Yeah.
I think with the whole free will thing is like it's you can either be, there's a practical approach to it, or there's a serious scientific approach to it. And I think the serious scientific approach is like, there's no free will, everything's determined by science and chemistry and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it's nice, it's preferable to believe that you have agency.
Yeah.
And you actually have choice. I think maybe agency and free will could be two different things.
They're close as far as I understand. If you know the difference between agency and free will,
James Ward,
please let us know.
Enlighten us. It'll be a one sentence thing, like they're the same thing. The same thing. You fucked it.
Yeah, nice one. I have another question.
Please.
Are there any books out there?
Yes.
Cool. Question. Next question. Do you find being someone with a comedic persuasion?
I've been known to like to chuckle.
He's been known to have a few funny little jokes. Are there any books in particular that you have found to inform your practice?
My comedic practice.
Your comedic practice.
I mean, there's probably been some, I've read Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's biographies. They're both lovely. There were a couple of books I read back in 2016 or something, I think, when I was really into doing stand-up. And I remember, I think I downloaded a lot of ebooks, and nowadays I couldn't really tell you what they were called, but they were I read one called The Humor Code, which was really interesting, and I think I heard about that on a podcast, and it was about the idea of one of the theories of humor and why people laugh and stuff, and it was about the idea of benign violation, which is when, and it was they had sort of an evolutionary perspective on it, and they were if you imagine you're a Neanderthal or whatever, and you're in the woods, and you think that there's a snake, and so everyone freezes up. It's like, oh shit, there's a fucking snake over there. And then a little kid jumps out of the bushes or whatever, and everyone's like, ah, it was just a kid. And the laugh is the signal to the group that the thing we thought was scary is not in fact scary. And I think that's a really cool idea in terms of comedy, in terms of just being able to make people feel tense. And it's the same as tension and release kind of theory of comedy as well. It's you make people feel a bit tense or some sort of emotion, and then you relieve it straight away.
Yeah.
So I guess that's informed that. I don't know how often I practice that, but it's definitely something that I think about. There was another one.
Tim Ferguson's Cheeky Monkey. Tim, if you're watching.
I was about to say, we were talking to Tim Ferguson recently, and he was talking about the idea of the straight line and the wavy line. And I remember that was definitely one of the books I read. It would have just been called comedy comedy writing secrets or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all before I started doing improv and stuff. And then when you go to improv, that's like a crash course in comedy theory, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's all about. I was teaching a class last night and I was talking about how it's no, actually, sorry, it was when I was directing a show at Fringe at the moment. I was talking to the boys doing that and talking about writing a sketch and just talking about how one of their sketches started with like the setting was like a kidnapping, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the way to punch this up is to really emphasize the scary element at the start. Like you want, and I wasn't thinking about that benign violation thing at the time, but like the point was like you want people to think, like comedy is so much better when it's a surprise. And you want people to come into a sketch or whatever and be like, and feel a certain feeling so that then when they feel the amusement, the contrast is what feels so significant. You're like, oh, that was such a good sketch because it made me, at first it was so spooky. And then I was like, oh, great, So I was like, yeah, dial up, whenever you write a sketch, I guess, pick what the dominant emotion is at the start, dial that the fuck up. And then, so that way when you relieve it, it'll be more significant. It's just something I've been thinking about.
Wow, that's I really like that. I mean, I really like. This is the Cool and Smart Improv Comedy Podcast.
But another thing, based on a book that you recommended me, Thinking Fast and Slow, by Danny Kahneman. Yes. And I only read the lucid version, but fuck. But I sent you the picture of it. There's that thing in there where he talks about an experiment that he did with. He got one group of people to just put their hand in a bucket of ice water for 60 seconds. And then he got another group to put their hand in a bucket of ice water for 90 seconds, followed by a period of 30 seconds in warm water. And the people who did the 90 seconds with the 30 seconds of relief found the entire experience to be just generally more pleasant. And the sort of conclusion he got derived from that was that people only really care about the peak of the experience and the end. And that really, I mean, we haven't really worked on much since then, but like I imagine that's going to inform future writing and stuff. Just that idea of like, if you can nail the climax and nail the ending, obviously you want to pay attention to the rest, but like because you've got to get people interested to get to the climax. But those are like the key parts that are going to make people walk out and be like, oh, that was really great. Yeah. Or whatever.
I'm going to write my PhD.
Pretty huge dick.
Yeah, pretty huge. I'm going to write my pretty huge dick fighting against that.
Okay.
And my thesis statement is, no, Kahneman, people just like little treats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. That's real boiled down.
Yeah.
People do like little treats.
People love little treats.
I love mints.
Yeah, I love mints.
And I mean beef mints.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Just a little treat for me.
Yes. Yes, queen.
Yes, queen. What's your take on steak tartare, beef tartare? You ever had it?
I have.
Actually, we talked about this at the start of a show our last show we did.
Did we?
Yeah. Because I was talking about how I'd eaten a steak tartare and you were like, that's disgusting.
Oh, I think I did that for oppositional value. I actually don't find it disgusting.
Oh, thank God, man. Because I've been talking.
Yeah.
I've been like, Barney's palate is insane.
Yeah. Who have you been saying that to?
Just to anyone who'll listen.
Oh, fuck.
I'm walking down the street. I'm like, hey, Barney's palate is insane.
Oh, geez. Have you told Bryce?
Barney's palate
Stop.
is fucked.
Fuck. Ah, Jesus. That sucks. Who's your favourite cookbook author?
Great questions. Heston Blumenthal, baby.
Ah, great.
He's so great. Because I used to work at a homeware store back in Tassie. It was like the first job I ever had. And my favourite part of it was working the cookbooks shelves and all that sort of stuff. And like I didn't really cook much back then or anything. I watched like Epic Mealtime and that sort of shit. So I was making like maple bacon and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But for Christmas with my discount stuff, I would always buy myself like a new Heston book.
Really?
Yeah, I've got like 4 or 5 of his books.
Ah.
I haven't even looked at them that much, really, to be honest. But because he was just so experimental and so cool. He was also on MasterChef and like he had his own shows for a while, and it's just he's just very inventive.
The thing cool. I really like, and like from working in a bookshop, you would have seen this as well about cookbooks, is that you can see the shifts in cultural thinking and the way that we think our lives should be led is so perfectly reflected in the way cookbooks change.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's all the, like Jamie Oliver, that was like very big in the 90s and he
did a lot of, like 3 ingredient cooking, 30-minute meals.
Yeah.
It was all very fast-paced sort of stuff.
And a lot of it was really like a lot of oil, kind of comforty food.
Yeah, big time.
And then, especially at the moment, like Hetty McKinnon and a whole bunch of other people's names who I can't remember.
Our good friend Pete Evans.
Our favorite author.
He's my favorite.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Obviously, it's Pete Evans.
Pete Evans, he's great.
Yeah, he's great.
If you're looking for something fun to do, Google Pete Evans' Day on a Plate.
It's
hilarious.
It is unbelievable. He lives a life of extravagance.
A lot of alkalized water.
Yeah, a lot of activated almonds.
Yep. Clever man.
So at the moment it's all like this, like sustainability, fresh, vegetable-based dishes that have this like sort of ideology of protecting the planet behind them. And then there's also the counter to that, which is like Action Bronson and like epic mealtime kind of like
fuck, that's delicious.
Yeah, sort of massive like hunks of meat. And
it's very like hedonistic, very like fuck it. It's very nothing matters, so let's eat everything sort of thing.
Exactly.
I actually read another book on Lucid yesterday. I think it was called like the case for food or something, or like the argument or in defense of food, maybe.
Okay.
And it was just about how like so much of our food culture nowadays is dominated by the idea of he calls it nutritionism, I think.
Yeah.
And the idea that it happened around like post World War II, where there was this real shift to not really worrying about what the food was, but it was about the content of the food. It was like, get this much fiber, get this much protein, cholesterol's bad, et cetera. And so that led to, the increase in processed foods, because you could make a food sound healthy by being like, this contains X amount of this, X amount of this, put that all on the label. And you're like, well, I guess this is a fantastic food. And his argument is basically like probably the ideal way to remain healthy in terms of diet is just to eat whole foods, eat foods that like, ask yourself like, would my great grandmother recognize this food? And if she wouldn't understand like the label or whatever, then chances are it's too processed. It's probably not good for you, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I feel like the sort of the next step after that is then think, what would a caveman eat? Would a caveman eat this? And then you make a machine that gets the sun's power and it cures coronavirus. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think, there's probably, you can't deny that there have been advances in food science and that sort of stuff.
But I think it's so interesting that there have been, yet obesity and health conditions related to poor nutrition. Seemingly, I mean, I don't know if this is actually true, are growing in their prevalence. And at the same time, there's this sort of like real inherent quality. It's like a core theme of cookbooks is nostalgia is good. Like, because food is nostalgic.
Eat mama's food. Eat all this stuff. Yeah.
So it's like, it's comforting to think about, would my great grandmother have eaten this? And therefore I'm like belonging to something by participating.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good point.
Yeah,
you get that sort of sense of community into the past.
Which
unfortunately, Barney, doesn't actually exist.
It doesn't exist. So whatever.
No, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's just saying like, eat more veggies.
Yeah,
eat
totally.
foods that are recognizable.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know what went wrong in Pete Evans' head.
Yeah.
When did he make that twist to being like, because even the eating like a caveman thing, it feels right for a little bit.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of it's built on a faulty premise about what cavemen ate.
Yeah.
Because paleo is all about like, eat lots of meat. And I'm like, well, we didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We ate mostly leafy greens.
Yeah. That's what's so, and also the idea of like, to move, like the Mighty Boosh thing, it's like the past and the future coming together to make something not quite as good as either, which is like perfect. That's what paleo is. It's like...
Yeah, true. Yeah. It's like ancient and modern.
Yeah.
And just making a shit diet.
I can't understand. Like, I assume like the age of death for cavemen must have been probably like 30, right?
I think that's another, I think, like vague stat, because the average age of death may have been, but that's really influenced by infant mortality.
Of course.
Because so many... Fact was, just a lot of people didn't survive childhood.
Yeah.
But if you did survive childhood, you could make it to like 70 or 80.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So
humans have always had pretty similar lifespans.
Yeah.
It's just that the average age has changed over time.
Yeah, right, because there's been less infant mortality.
Yeah, exactly, because we've learned how to not kill babies.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
That's congratulations to our friend Dan Thomas on the birth of his daughter,
Congratulations,
Remy.
Dan Thomas. What's her name?
Remy is her
Remy.
name. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah, very nice name. So, yeah, those are the questions.
Those are all the questions?
Yeah, those are the questions.
What do you got a cookbook you like?
No, I love cookbooks. I like looking at them.
Right.
But, oh my God.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, I rarely cook out of a cookbook. I've cooked I have a Save with Jamie book that is probably the most, like in terms of use, that's probably my favorite cookbook because that's full of sticky notes of just, they're super easy dishes and fucking delicious. Like the guy knows how to cook.
He knows how to cook. See, I always am very attracted to, I've got some Jamie books as well. But Ottolenghi's Simple, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or there's other books. Jamie nails it, but there's other books like that, and there's a few other ones that are like easy dishes for you to just whip up, and then it's like, this dish takes 4 hours.
I know.
Yeah. It requires water from the fountain of youth, and you're like, what?
Where do I get this?
Where do I get this stuff?
Or when they list some ingredients and then they're just like, you'll probably have the rest of these in your cupboard. And I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have any saffron.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so I just want some down-to-earth chefs. Someone like, I don't know, Action Bronson.
Yeah, I want someone down to earth, someone connected with nature, like, I don't know, Pete Evans.
Like Pete Evans.
Yeah.
He knows what's up.
He knows what's up.
Just kidding, he's a Nazi.
He's a fuck Pete Evans. He's the worst.
He eats and drinks animal cum.
He definitely does that.
Eats and drinks animal cum.
That's why he's gone so cuckoo bananas.
Yeah.
So, Matt, now that we've got this little space at the end for you to play.
Oh, I can play?
Yeah, you can play.
Oh, I get to play?
I don't know how much time we've got left, but we were 15 minutes.
That's a lot of time to play, Barney.
15 minutes of playtime. That's almost as long as recess, which is usually 20 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for...
Yeah.
At the last school I worked at, it was a lot of 10-minute breaks.
Yeah, there you go. So we had spoken about talking about graphic novels.
We did, yeah.
And I was meant to bring some, but they didn't fit in my bag.
That's okay.
So you've got shitloads.
I brought 4.
Yeah.
I had heaps.
Yep.
And I was like, what 4 can I bring in? I brought 4 very classic, because just to talk about graphic novels, I started reading them probably in high school, and the way I would have done that is literally Googled best graphic novels and then bought the first 5 that came up.
That's sick. Yeah.
So, and one of those would have been Watchmen, which routinely comes up on lists of the best pieces of literature of all time. It says up the top, one of Time Magazine's 100 best novels, not even graphic novels.
Yeah.
It's just considered an amazing piece of work. Have you read that?
No.
And it's really good. And I was actually talking to James Ward about it a couple of weeks ago. He was reading it behind the bar at TSE, and we were kind of cracking wise about it. But at the same time, I was like, because it's obviously Rorschach's in it, and he's close to Deadpool these days. You know? It's almost on the same sort of level of because he's a real. He's been sort of repurposed in the TV series that came out recently. It's kind of a conservative hero, and he's a libertarian basically. He's a really strong libertarian, but we were mocking it, but it was but also I cannot tell you how fucking good this book is. It is so dense. It's so gorgeous. The drawings in it are just stunning. The amount of structural, interesting things. There's one chapter. One of the issues is all about Rorschach, and the entire layout of the comic is a mirror image of itself.
Oh, wow.
So you could not that you can read it backwards, but it's all laid out exactly. I think there's a page halfway through that's split perfectly down the middle, and then you realize that you can everything's just matched on either side. So it's beautiful in that respect.
Wow.
There's prose parts of it as well all through it. There's a secondary story about a there's a comic within a comic about a scary pirate ship, all that sort of stuff that kind of mirrors the story of what's going on. I can't tell you how dense it is. It's beautiful. I really strongly recommend it.
Yeah, I've got to check it out. When I was in year 11, I went on a date with a girl to see Watchmen.
Great,
because
yeah.
I thought it was one of those cool superhero Tobey Maguire movies.
Yeah.
It wasn't that.
It's not.
No, and it was very long.
Super long.
I was 15
Yep.
at the time, and it was a poor choice.
And also, it famously butchers the ending of the book. Removes the ending, changes the ending. The ending in the initial book is very, I don't know, final. Well, no, it's almost not final. It kind of leaves a lot of stuff open, but it's very open-ended about the morality of a lot of the characters, whereas I think the film kind of tries to tie everything up into a neat little bow.
Yeah.
And has more of a... I actually haven't seen it. I haven't seen the whole movie. I've always avoided it. But the TV series that came out, which is a sequel to this, is fucking sick.
Yeah.
So good.
It's so good. Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really
See, that
like
is...
it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, reading that will enhance your viewing of that so much.
Sick.
Because there's so much... so many threads that go through it.
Cool.
Like all the stuff with Dr. Manhattan in that. Like he's on another planet. Like, oh, no, sorry. Ozymandias is on another planet in that. The old dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that just sort of doesn't get tied up at the end, but is really cool.
Cute. The next one, which I'm excited because I have actually read it.
This is... So originally when I got into graphic novels, it would have been because I fucking froth Batman.
Yeah.
Big Batman nerd. So then I started Googling what are the best, Batman comics, and this is routinely number one. I've actually realized that 3 of the books I brought are by Alan Moore.
Oh, wow.
He wrote this.
Yeah.
Alan Moore did. And yeah, it's Batman the Killing Joke.
Yeah, I was so... I mean, I've read much less Batman comics than you, but I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking good.
It's so creepy.
Yeah.
It's so... Apparently, like when it was first released, apparently it wasn't colorized, but the new coloring of it is so cool. It's like in Schindler's List. There's always like one red... It's all black and white in the flashbacks and then one red element, which is really cool. It was huge for like just the Batman canon at the time because it like paralyzed one of the main characters and all this kind of stuff. And the final scene in it where like Batman and the Joker are like laughing with each other is really beautiful. It's another one of those things Alan Moore just does metaphor and analogy, like visual analogy or textual analogy so well. And there's always such like a dense like series of layers and everything he does. Like just the joke that's told at the end of this is also an encapsulation of like the whole Batman Joker relationship, which is just really cool.
Does that one have, and I can't remember, does this one have the Joker like origin story as he wanted to be a stand-up comedian?
Yeah. So again, that's like a massive influence on the most recent Joker movie.
Joker.
I was actually going to bring, there's another one, I think it's not Brian Boland. I can't remember who it's by, but there's just one called Joker and it's told from the perspective of one of Joker's lackeys. Oh. And it's very cool. And it's another one that's sort of, I would say tonally is maybe similar to the most recent Joker movie that came out. It's not like story-wise because Joker like gets out of jail and he's a fucking kingpin and kind of a legend, but just in terms of the visual style, it's very dirty New York sort of. There's
this other film that it's very close to that film Joker. It's called Taxi Driver.
No, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a rip-off of Joker, right?
Yeah. It's a rip-off of Joker. So, that and what's the other
King
one?
of Comedy?
Yeah, King of Comedy.
That ripped off Joker too. And what's crazy is it ripped it off 40 years before it came out.
Yeah, it's so crazy how that happens.
Weird. It's weird. Poor Joaquin.
Yeah.
Because Joaquin wrote, directed.
He wrote, directed, and starred, and so he must be fucking pissed.
He got no credit.
Yeah. Cool. The
next one. I mean, I've got a couple more. I've got V for Vendetta, which is another Alan Moore one, again made into a film that was pretty good. And nowadays, that is like Alan Moore is quite adept at creating symbols of things that have been co-opted by horrible groups.
Yeah.
Like the V mask and stuff is obviously like a symbol of like Anonymous and stuff, which is all that 4chan shit. But yeah, another just a fantastic, like really dystopian, very 1984.
Cool.
I can't remember how similar it is to the movie, but it's a completely different art style to Watchmen and that sort of stuff. Like you can see it almost looks like, it just looks older. Like it looks quite. I don't know if that's a fucking like watercolor or chalk pastels or some shit, but it's a very different coloring scheme.
Well, how old were we when that film came out?
I would have been in like grade 8, grade 9 maybe.
Okay.
I reckon Watchmen, I would have been in grade 10. That I would have been in grade 8.
Okay, cool. Because I'm just thinking, because I remember when I first saw images for the film.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a weird adaptation of Phantom of the Opera. But I really, I've never seen it. I really want to, and I really want to read it as well.
Cool. I mean, you can take this pile.
Hell yeah.
This one I brought in. This one I actually didn't really like that much. This is another one that's usually regularly on like sort of the like top 10 lists and stuff. Is Ronan by Frank Miller.
Yep.
And Frank Miller has written a lot of Batmans. He wrote like Dark Knight Returns, and he wrote 300, and Sin City, which are huge. Nowadays, I think he does one that's called like 100 Bullets or something. But this, it's just. Did he do the art for that? No, he didn't. But his art style is so like scratchy and chaotic. Like, see how he does all these details with like weird little bubbles and stuff.
Yeah.
And it made it a tricky read for me. It's almost like overstimulating. You don't really know where to look. Like it's like just such a wash of like that. I don't know what that's depicting. So even in context, this one just didn't grab me as much. But it's a story that's often quite well regarded.
For sure.
It's like a samurai comes to the future or something.
Yeah, it looks very cool. For everyone at home that can't see what we're looking at, Matt just is continuously showing me the same piece of white paper with a smiley face on it.
And Barney sees what he wants to see.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing a Rorschach test.
Yeah, we're doing a Rorschach test.
My last one I brought in isn't actually a comic.
Yeah.
But it's a book that I was gifted last year by my friend Simon Hawkins, and it's called Marvel's Greatest Comics: 100 Comics to Build a Universe. And I'm an MCU buff.
Yeah.
I like that shit. So me and Simon both love it. So he got me this, and it was really cool because my immediate reaction was like, oh, I want to read all 100 comics. But I was like, well, that's obviously going to be an ordeal to achieve that. But then I found out there's this app called Marvel Unlimited, and it just has their entire back catalogue. So I have been going through. I've probably only read like 20 or so of them. But it's a really cool way to kind of quickly and efficiently get through a tremendous amount of comic book history, which has been interesting. It's very cool to just see how much things like have or haven't changed.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I've been like, obviously you're an MCU lover. You're a buff of the MCU.
Oh, fanboy.
You're a fanboy. I'm not so much. I don't like it.
No.
And I was trying to think about why that is the case. And you've always liked superhero stuff, but you haven't been into like footy is such a huge part of my life, right? And then I was like, oh my god, it's even worse because footy is my MCU. All of these teams in one universe and they play each other, they verse each other all the time.
It's an eagle fighting a demon.
Like, do you remember Ben Cousins back in edition 06?
Yeah.
Like, it's so much. It's so much. The crazy thing about like, I think we've spoken about this before, but like nerdy things like comic books or playing Dungeons and Dragons, there's this like, all of it has this really beautiful connection to creativity and community and sharing ideas but it's, nerdy and not cool. Whether sport is not necessarily cool, but it's like seen as something that's better, maybe.
For sure.
I'm talking in like very, very broad strokes here, but it's like I'm in a fantasy football league. It's Dungeons and Dragons. We're playing, but it has no creativity. I regularly get abused by 50-year-old middle-aged unhappy men. Like it sucks. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it's great. I think what it boils down to is like, because it's a sort of a reductive reading, but like nowadays, God is dead, etc. Our gods are our celebrities and all this sort of shit is what's going on. And it's just where we get our values. Like if these sports people and that sort of stuff are all symbols for certain types of values. For like hardworking and diligent and teamwork and community, all that sort of stuff. And what I think happened with nerds who couldn't play sport is they just created people who embodied their values still, like Superman or Spider-Man or whatever it is, whatever they wanted to embody. And then you can just idolize that. And you'd be like, what team do I go for? And you can go DC or Marvel, you can do that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, I find it so, like you said, sports people represent certain ideas or values, and they, a lot of them do really, really good work culturally, and like Marcus Rashford is amazing. But the way that they're characterized by the media or the authors of the sporting universe, is the same as heroes, where they have sort of fixed archetypes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like at the moment, in the Premier League world, Harry Kane, who's like this, like the Captain America of English football, right, has decided to not turn up to training because he wants to move to another club.
Okay.
And it has broken people's brains. And I wonder if it's similar to, because of the way this hero is conceptualized, what his actions are so against that then people are like retroactively looking back and being like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this could have been, and I'm like, oh man, this is so similar to comic book.
You know what it makes me think of though is like, I'm gonna get the word wrong for this, but like non-canonical parts of the Bible. Like there was like, what do you call them? Apocryphal gospels and that sort of stuff. And like there was like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and the Gospel of Judas and all this stuff, but none of them are in the Bible because it doesn't conform to what they want to say or whatever. It's the same thing. It's like if you build someone up to have this certain kind of value, like if you say there's a bunch of stories about Superman being a good guy.
Yep.
And then if someone does like a what if story about like what if Superman, like there's a story called Red Sun where Superman is born in Russia instead.
Yeah.
And he's fights for communism and that sort of stuff instead. But it's not considered canon because it doesn't conform to what the ideals of that person are.
Yeah.
And if you were trying to integrate that into what Superman represents, it would break people's brains.
Yeah.
But the problem is when we canonize real life human beings who are complex and do change and do make decisions that don't necessarily conform to the values they represent all the time, you can't just be like, oh, well, we won't. You don't have to read that one.
Yeah. Oh, we'll just pretend this bit didn't happen.
It just muddles people.
I didn't know about those non-canon Bible. So, sorry, is there a Gospel of Judas?
There's Gospels of Judas, Gospel of Mary Magdalene, all that sort of stuff.
Oh my! I love that. According to the story of Jesus, Judas betrays him, and then it's like, nah, fucked it. But I will write a gospel.
Yeah. I got to absolve myself.
Yeah.
And Judas, the best of the disciples.
Yeah. Would never betray anyone.
I don't know what's in it. I don't know. And they say apocryphal, which means that it's not necessarily written by the person it was written by, I think. But it's like, I don't think that's true of any of them.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Bibles, man.
Bibles, man.
These are my Bibles.
These are my Bibles. And the Marvel heroes are my gods. Tony Stark is the father.
Spidey, the son.
And who's the Holy Spirit?
Vision. So what have you read? I lent you Uzumaki recently.
Yes.
Have you started that?
No, because I've just finished Upright Beast, so it's my next one.
We haven't even talked about what we're reading.
Yeah.
I'm reading the same stuff as last week.
Yeah, I finished Upright Beast.
Congratulations.
Scott Limbrick, you're correct. It like once I got past all the animal bullshit, the last half is really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One other thing I just want to mention in regards to graphic novels and comics is, I don't know if I've talked to you about the book The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon. Man, another book that Simon Hawkins actually gave me.
Yeah.
It is set in, it's almost like an alternate history of the rise of the golden age of comics. But it's these two Jewish guys. One emigrates from, I think, I want to say Poland, and he's like an escape artist, and he comes there in a box and all this sort of stuff, and they end up writing, and the other guy's just like New York born and bred, and they end up writing comics together, and it's really like a big analogous to the people who started like DC and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and all those sorts of group of people, but it's just such a beautiful, and like those characters, like Stan Lee shows up in it, all these famous comic authors show up in it, and just the way Chabon kind of like rips stuff from history and just repurposes it, it's so fantastic. It's so touching. Like there's so much emotion to it, and again, like with all these really great comic books, so many layers of stuff where what they're writing about is also what's going on in their personal lives, and then it's also, there's stories within stories, and if you have any interest in comic books, I really strongly recommend reading it. It's so cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I read it. It was one of those books that like kept me up at night. I was just like, just when you're reading, I was just like, I just have to know what happens next. And it's not like action-packed, edge of your seat, thriller, gripping, that kind of stay up all night. I was just like, oh my God, like I love these characters. Like, what are you going to do next? I want to know what happens next. Are you going to be happy? Like, it was really, really, really lovely.
That's Very cool.
Yeah.
I very much want to read it. Well, next week I'll bring in my picture books.
Cool. That's the pod for the week. I
Yeah,
guess.
that's it.
That's great.
We have a show. Oh, well, yeah, we have a show.
Yeah, we do, but this will be out on next Monday. We had a show. We had 3 shows on Saturday night.
Yeah. Oh my god, they were all so good.
We crushed it.
Yeah.
We crushed every single one of
Oh
them.
my god. Saturday Night Live was there.
Saturday night was there. We talked to Lorne.
Yeah, we talked to Lon Michaels.
He passed it.
Yeah, he passed on us. That's cool.
He said, "I'm going to leave you for someone else.
Yeah.
I don't deserve you."
That's what he said. Yeah. He said, I feel like a vulture stealing babies from a cradle when you guys need mummy.
You need mummy duck.
Yeah.
Is what Lorne said.
That's what Lorne said.
Anyway, we will have another show, hopefully next month. We're actually not sure if we're going to get renewed.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's true. Fuck.
Hopefully we have a show next
There's
month.
one in the portal, so we do have one.
Yay! Okay, we got a show next month. Can't tell you the date right now, but we do.
We do. It's in September.
That'll be cool. Also, my birthday, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, keep an eye out for Matt's birthday.
So we got that. We've got follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. Subscribe to this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everything is at KEWL and SMERT, Cool and Smirt.
Take screenshots, print them out, and stick them up around your local area.
Yeah, and just around your room.
Just around your room as well. Yeah.
Because it'll just remind you of us.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're your sportsmen.
We're your sportsmen.
We've got the values you need.
We're your Ben Cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your values that you express?
Mike,
What are you a symbol of?
I'm a symbol of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm a symbol of hope.
Yeah.
What about you?
Virus.
Yeah. From Hope and Virus, this has been the Cool and Smart Book Club podcast.
Blowing your kisses.